He currently chairs the Senate Committee on Energy and Basic Education. He wants to serve in the upper chamber for another 6 years. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is seeking re-election. We now get up close with the senator about his platforms and plans. Senator Win, thank you so much for joining us on this program. Pass or fail the first few days of the pilot phase of face-to-face classes in 100 public schools?
My grade will be pass. I went to two provinces to look at the setup. I went to Zambales and also to Quezon. And I have to give credit where credit is due. The teachers, principals, the superintendents, they all did a good job in preparing. In fact, they have much stricter health protocols in our schools compared to some hospitals. And they made do with whatever they had to make sure that our children are safe going back to school. And this is a learning process for us. And I'm pushing to increase the number of pilot schools, hopefully more than 1,000 across the different parts of our country.
If you are re-elected, how do you plan to improve the educational system?
Rico, first on the agenda is to invest in our teachers. Our teachers is the most important educational input that we can invest on. And we have very good teachers, we have dedicated teachers. In fact, during the pandemic, Rico, I've seen firsthand their sacrifices in order to bring education to the homes of our learners. But we need to support them. Number one, we need to make sure that they get also the best education possible during their college days. And then we support them with competitive benefits and salaries, because we're still very far off compared to Singapore, compared to Malaysia, even Thailand. We're very far off in terms of salaries and benefits. And make sure that they get the necessary training while they are teaching, because we need to improve their competencies and upgrade their skills during their service in government.
Senator Win, you chair the Senate Energy Committee, and currently what is being discussed is the sale of the Malampaya deal to Odena of Dennis Uy. Should this deal be undone?
Well, Rico, I'll put my other hat, from basic education to the Energy Committee. In my analysis and my review of all the documents, I call this deal Lutong Macau because the evaluation that is supposed to be conducted in order to assure all of us that the new operators qualified was tweaked in order for Udena to get this transaction. And I showed in many instances that in terms of the legal, in terms of the technical, and in terms of the financial, they evaluated two separate companies. So how can you approve a transaction wherein you evaluated two separate companies? And that's not what is prescribed under the law and what is prescribed under the Department Circular of DOE. So in my opinion, this evaluation is defective. Therefore, the approval is invalid. And we're now studying, Rico, on how to move forward with this invalid approval.
So if it's an invalid approval and it is undone, what happens next?
This is where the complexity comes in. Malampaya is an ongoing concern. Malampaya is an operating concern. It supplies 4 million homes, about 1/5 of our energy needs here in Luzon. So we need to study carefully that operations will not be hampered. What's important right now is electricity, the continuous flow of electricity to our homes. And we need to isolate this whole doubtful process from the operations of Malampaya, because we need to keep Malampaya running.
The development of the energy sector, Senator Win, was not a priority of the Duterte administration over the past 5 years. And the looming energy crisis is giving a lot of goosebumps to Filipino consumers, businesses, and the industry itself. What needs to be done to ensure power supply security for our kababayans?
Well, Rico, you hit the nail on its head. I've seen what we call the energy sufficiency of our country. Before, we're at a high of about 55% self-sufficient. We're now at around 50%, and it will go below 50% because with the impending depletion of Malampaya, we have no choice but to import natural gas. So it will go below 50%, meaning we'll be importing more than 50% of our energy needs. So to increase our self-sufficiency, we have to use what we have. No? Number one is renewable energy. We have about 30,000 megawatts of potential renewable energy that we can explore in the country, or we can maximize. And then we should continue to explore oil and gas. The West Philippine Sea is a vast area of potential, of oil and gas potential. And we only have one, no? Malampaya operating. We can have more of that in the West Philippine Sea.
From education to energy, Senator Win, I want us to take a look at the political drama that took place over the weekend at the Commission on Elections and all the substitutions. You aspired to be the Vice President of Sara Duterte if she ran for President. Are you disappointed that she did not run for the presidency?
Well, I respect her decision, Rico. And for me, what's important is she ran for a national post. When I was vying for her vice presidency, I vied for her vice president because I believe in her track record, her experience, and also her character. I worked with her when we were mayors before. We were both mayors at one point, and I worked with her closely, especially in the League of Cities, and I've seen her diligence and her firmness when it comes to governance. So I believe in her capability. And what's important is now she's vying for a top post, and I think she'll be good for the country.
And who will you support for President? Senator Win.
We're still talking about that in our party, Rico. We're still waiting. November 15 just passed, and we need to evaluate very closely our decisions within the party. So we're still discussing that.
All right. The substitution provision and the omnibus election code was used and abused over the weekend. Should there be changes after next year's elections?
Well, Rico, me along with 4 other senators filed the bill to remove, as one of the grounds for substitution, voluntary withdrawal. Meaning substitution can happen only when somebody dies or somebody becomes incapacitated or disqualified, 3 grounds. But voluntary withdrawal should be removed as one of the grounds because clearly, Rico, it's being used as a parking space, no, for candidates. And my fear is in the future, this will be abused and even made money off. We will probably see candidates who will file ahead of time and then sell their position. And we don't want this to be a bad precedent for the country.
Let's now take a look at the economy. Millions of Filipinos are still out of jobs, Senator Win. The economy remains weak and faces a long road towards recovery. If you're re-elected senator, how will you try to jumpstart the economy and create jobs through legislation?
True, Rico. Unemployment remains to be elevated at 8%. That's approximately about 4 million unemployed individuals. If my take on a fast recovery should be working capital should be ready for businesses, especially in tourism and small and micro businesses. Our economy will eventually swing back. But the problem is because of the last 1 year, a lot of the working capitals of this company, especially in tourism, especially small and medium enterprises, have been depleted. Some of them operated and some of them even did not shut down for the sake of their employees. But when the economy returns back to normal, they will not have enough capital to take advantage of that. So government should provide easy loans. It should provide working capital that they can tap into and swing with the economy upwards.
Let's focus now on this issue of corruption. No? A lot of allegations are taking place over the last few months and a couple of years. It is systemic in our bureaucracy. How should we fight it, Senator Win?
No, that's a very tough question, Rico. In fact, this morning I was in a forum. I said three things that will remain in our country for the next generations: no? Corruption, drugs, and poverty. We need to put the system and strengthen the institutions because this will be a long haul in terms of fighting poverty, fighting drugs, and even poverty. We need to make sure that institutions are strong and efficient. For example, I'll give you a very clear example. In terms of prosecuting and convicting corrupt officials, it should not take years. If you will convict officials and it will take 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, nobody will believe in the system. Nobody will respect the system. We need to make sure that the turnaround is faster so we can penalize and we can punish corrupt officials, and that will send a strong signal to those who are intending to steal and to corrupt the system.
And we will continue our up-close conversation with Senator Win Gatchalian after a quick break.
Oh, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
This is the final word on CNN Philippines. I'm Rico Hizon, and still with us for tonight's Up Close before the Filipino votes is re-electionist Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Senator, you mentioned that three issues that will stay with us for many years to come. One is corruption, the other one is poverty, and drugs. How should the new government fight this war on drugs? Should it continue to adopt an ironclad, no-nonsense anti-drug policy?
You have to approach it in two ways, no? And I think the most simple equation there will be the demand and the supply side. I really believe that we should also put a lot of effort in the demand side. Go to our high schools, go to our schools and teach our students not to go into this very unproductive activities. And in Venezuela, that's what we did. On the supply side, we need to deal it with an iron hand. I don't believe in dealing with drugs with this very soft approach. We need to make sure that we apprehend the bigger fish rather than the smaller fish on the streets. And we have to make sure that intelligence is also funded. This can only be arrested with A1 intelligence tracking down the bigger fish in the trade.
Senator, I have 6 questions for you, and you can only answer them with a yes or a no, and no explanation. My first question to you is...
That's a bit difficult task, Rico.
Yes or no? Do you favor easier public access to the statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth of the President, Vice President, and the members of Congress?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes, but I have a qualification to that, but yes.
Do you favor the reimposition of the death penalty for drug-related crimes?
Yes, I agree with that.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for senator in the next election?
Yes.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
Yes.
And should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Definitely.
Senator, your final word now on why our kababayan should re-elect you to the Senate for another 6 years.
Well, first of all, Rico, thank you for this opportunity. And I commit to our constituents that no single penny will be wasted in investing in this representation. I've enacted 15 bills, both in the energy sector and in the education sector, and I'll continue to work hard for the betterment of our country.
Thank you so much for joining us in our up-close conversation, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Loren Legarda po. 18 years akong senador at nagsulong ng mga batas na nakakatulong sa mga nangangailangan.
Free college education law,
Para sa aming edukasyon,
MSME law,
batas para sa aming kabuhayan,
Climate Change Act,
mga batas para sa kalikasan at climate change.
Mga batas na ginawa ko na napapakinabangan ngayon. Sana makatulong pa ako sa mas marami.
Loren Legarda,